The galaxy has peace at last, and now it's rivalry week. Slugfests are sure to ensue, so let's get to it. That stuff. And honestly, some of the new designs. The black and the Saints.
I've officially given up on Casey Hill, I'm sorry. Welcome to the Chuck and Dave Pod.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Dave.
This is the pod.
This is the pod.
And it's rivalry week.
It is rivalry week. Heck yeah, it is.
Of course, every week is rivalry week. But this week, we set aside to celebrate the biggest rivals and the beginning of the second half of the season.
It's true. Can't believe it's half over.
It is half over. The regular season is half over. But after this week, the entire season is half over. No, there's 3 weeks of playoffs this year. Never mind.
Wow.
You get that. Well, for two teams, the season is half over.
Jordan is asking, what does my board say? Jordan, my board says rivalry week. And then it says last 5 games, me and Kara are 6-6, which is a pretty crazy stat. And we'll get to that in a little bit.
I think what does your board say needs to become a segment.
What does your board say?
Perhaps we could get a little song. To the board.
Maybe that might be an option.
We'll see. Anybody out there wants to write a little jingle for it?
Oh, I forgot to.
Oh dang! You got the lightsaber up there now.
Yeah.
What's the other thing up there by it?
That's the sword.
Is that a foam?
You
sword?
remember those? Somebody bought those for us. You, me, and Sam all had
Did
those.
we take foam swords camping one year?
Yeah, it's the same one, man.
Wow, you've held on to that.
I know.
I'm sure if I had mine, it fell apart. To the tune of "Who Let the Dogs Out." What does the board say? What?
That's actually pretty good. Might steal that. Might steal it.
Also, the spelling of the word "tune" there is pretty good.
It is different. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, we had Star Wars week last week. I think that was a blast having the names. We even finally got, for the viewers here that don't follow the league, the Nincompoops did update their name to the Nemoidian Nincompoops, which would have been a contender for one of the best names. I do believe he outsourced creativity for that one, though.
Yeah, I think so.
I do like the logo, though. I would let him keep that logo.
Yeah. Trade Federation.
Speaking of which, I think most of the teams are still yet to actually change their names back. They love Star Wars.
I mean, definitely, I think over half.
You got the droids, the Nincompoops, the destroyers.
Destroyers,
There's 3 left to change. But you know what? Never let a good thing end.
Yeah.
So last week we didn't, if I remember correctly here, we had a couple of real close nail biters. 2 games coming down to Monday night, which we have not had in quite a few weeks here. And that 49ers game sure left an impact on some things. Otherwise, the other 2 games.
Mine came down to Sunday night.
Yeah, 3 were really close. 1 was not close. And the other 3 were quite close and came down to some late games. And that's what you want to see here. So congratulations to the commissioner for having the clairvoyance to set up that schedule.
Just like shooting a proton torpedo through a 2-meter hole.
Yeah, just like a womp rat, you know.
That's no bigger than a womp rat.
It's easy to do. Well, let's check out the games.
Sure thing. You want to go through the less exciting one first?
I think we should probably start with the blowout, the one that went to the biggest blowout.
I
guess it's somewhat exciting.
But exciting because this gives Kara her very first win.
She gets her first win in biggest blowout fashion. Yes. After we've been saying for the last 3 weeks, the scores are there, and it's just a matter of time. She finally cracks the goose egg and is 1-6.
Yep.
and doesn't look like she's going to be slowing down anytime soon.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. Her stats for the last 3 weeks.
They sure are. The first 4 weeks she averaged 94, and now the last 3 she's averaged 133.
Yeah,
and that's with very few player changes.
So things really turned around for her, and yeah,
I think you said it last week on the Discord, but I think we're all fairly lucky that she lost the first 6 weeks.
Yes.
I don't know that it'll be enough to keep her out of the playoffs, but she certainly still has a hill to climb and will need to keep performing at this level to do that.
Yes.
So we will see. Overall, they nabbed their first win. They put up the 4th highest points of the year overall. I mean, I felt pretty dumb. I didn't even realize that Metcalf was possibly injured when I set my team, I guess. I don't know. I didn't pay close enough attention to my team.
I mean, it was like a game day decision, like an hour and a half before the game. Like they left it to the very last minute, because the last I was looking at some of the stuff, and at 9:45 a.m. they basically said like he's a game time decision. They still don't have anything, and then legitimately 45 minutes later, like almost to the T, is when they were like, nope, he's not playing.
I do take some comfort knowing it mattered who I swapped in. I would not have gotten 144 points. I may have with Christian Watson. I may have tried to grab a waiver, but it wasn't going to get me 30 points in order to get a victory here. So I take some solace in that. I will say, though, that if I put anybody in, I would be the number 1 seed still. So that irks me a little bit. I had to give that up to Alex, Captain Tinker himself, just because of that. But
Captain Tinker.
The Polecats are now up to 2nd most points scored, and we were down in the 6th, I believe, at one point earlier in the season. So it is nice to see that happen. But yeah, otherwise, she just put up big points. I mean, Mahomes is finally doing Mahomesy stuff. She got Diggs and St. Brown doing what they should be doing. Pacheco seems to have really kicked things into gear. I mean, Christian Kirk as a flex is a real strong flex now. And then, you get your kicker with 15 points and the defense with 10, just to add insult to injury.
Yeah.
There wasn't she didn't leave anything on the bench. And honestly, I feel like over the course of the year, she has been the most efficient bench user, because she rarely has points left on the bench.
Yeah.
Captain Tinker's Polecats. I resent that.
Josh, when we talk about Captain Tinker, we're talking about Alex. Alex is the ultimate tinker.
Yes. Josh is the supreme chancellor.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't really have much on the bench either there. So I guess we both did what we could do, and that's how the game went. I was feeling really good after Thursday night, because I believe I had Kamara put up the 25 points. Somebody else went too on Thursday night. Maybe it was just Kamara, but I felt pretty good after that. It was pretty much downhill after that.
Yeah. Agreed.
So congratulations to the Fergals, though, on getting the win. It's probably a weight off of Sam's shoulders to know that nobody will be nabbing the 11-game losing streak this year.
Yeah. No 11-game losing streak. And I surprised you. You'd be surprised to hear that Kara was actually slightly disappointed.
And she was kind of hoping.
Won. She was hoping for an 0-14 season, but
1-13 is for chumps.
Yeah. But I did tell her, I'm like, honestly, I think she doesn't think she has a chance to make the playoffs, but it's kind of surprising how close the season is
now. It really does open it up some there.
Yeah.
If it was 4 teams, she would still be 3 games back. Although her scoring has been so high, she's really moving up a lot in the points for, which is the tiebreaker, of course. So yeah, she'd still have a chance even then,
Yeah.
but certainly much more of a chance right now. And I think we'll be getting to the look ahead here pretty soon, later in the episode here.
Well, congrats either way. Kara really put up a solid A+ performance according to the recap. So,
And you're pretty. Your record is probably safe now too. There are 10 games left, I think, right? 7 regular, 3. So the chances of anybody beating your 9-game win streak are becoming pretty small as well.
that's good. That's good.
All right, which one do you want to check out next?
Let's go. I'm thinking from least interest or least interesting to most interesting. I'm gonna be honest. The White Lightning, or not the White Lightning, but technically the what was Jordan?
The Younglings.
The Younglings versus the Nemoidian Nincompoops.
Anticlimactic. It's one of those games you turn in. The game ends 6-3. A couple of field goals. It's a close game, but was anybody really satisfied? I don't know.
I mean,
it was interesting because it did come down to the night because you had the 49ers, and honestly, maybe had McCaffrey not fumbled right away.
Yeah, I think if the 49ers would have played slightly better, I think we'd be having a totally different conversation for actually 2 games here.
Oh yes,
and we'll get to that. We'll get to that other one. But like, if the 49ers play better, so that means McCaffrey maybe gets a few more carries or a few more options. George Kittle maybe gets a few more receptions. He beats the Nemoidian Nincompoops.
Although at the same time, if the 49ers defense does a little better, then it just, both sides go up. So
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it came pretty close. 4-point game. Nobody really. I mean, McCaffrey doing McCaffrey, I guess. I mean, when you've got a player who's a non-quarterback who's just projecting 19 points, you're doing well. Sam's side, Mike Evans getting 19 and AJ Brown getting 23 certainly helped him out. Nothing else special there. Afterwards, what did I write down for this stuff here? The Detroit defense was unfortunate for him, but why is Josh Allen on the bench? Why was Smith picked over Josh Allen?
Obviously the matchup. I mean, it was a red matchup. I mean, I'm sure Sam's really watching that.
Yeah, I'm sure he asks Alex for advice on who to start.
And technically, Arizona was a green matchup. So, I mean, obviously, that's the choice to make.
Yeah, that is the choice. And, of course, we all know, too, it could depend on what Sam was looking at. Perhaps he's on a different type of app where the colors are different.
That was also a strange one, too, with, Darren Waller.
I tried looking at that. Waller did really well. I tried looking at their past performance.
Why was he on the bench? I mean, really? Choose Evans?
Between Waller and Ingram, look at their previous 3 games. I'm not sure it was a slam dunk to pick Waller, but you sure hate to leave those points on the bench there.
Yeah.
That could have popped. Between those 2, Sam would have topped 100.
Yep.
But now he's on a 4-game win streak. He is the longest win streak now since the Polecats lost. But his win streak has been exceedingly lucky the last 2 weeks now. He's kind of taken over the Polecats points against category a little bit. Meanwhile, the Younglings, I guess Edwards, I don't think
that's a tough one to pick over any of his guys. Yeah.
Yeah, look at his scores recently. 5, 6, 4, 5, 18. To be honest, I'm shocked that Alex hasn't tried to trade for him.
Right?
Get those points.
I mean, seriously. I am also curious why Jordan still is continuing to rock one less bench player than he absolutely needs to.
Well, I think he's hoping that he can carry that extra bench into next season if he never fills it.
Yep. We got some breaking news here that the Tharsis Jackals has added Josh Downs and dropped Cleveland, and added New York and dropped Jason Myers. Seems like pretty trivial additions, but it is what it is.
Got active stuff going on right now, huh?
Yep.
Picked up Josh Downs. I've not honestly heard about him much.
Nope.
Dropping a kicker for a defense. I feel like the New York Jets defense has been picked up and dropped a couple of times, but I guess 19 and 17 in the last 2 games. And they're going against the team gives up the most points. So
gotta do it.
Ride those matchups. But yeah, I think that pretty well sums up what I had here.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I had one last thought. It was a very underwhelming scores from 2 teams that really 3 weeks ago we were talking about as potential powerhouses. The first couple of weeks we thought that Jordan's team was going to be the one to beat. And then once Sam got those 2 wins with some big scores, we thought his team had come awake and was ready to go. And both teams have now put up some pretty poor numbers the last 2 weeks. So that's how it goes.
Yeah. They've been struggling mightily.
All right. I'm guessing you want to go to your game next.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't pick Josh.
It is a good thing I didn't pick Josh. And to be honest, it was
a sloppy game.
It was a sloppy game. Again, this is week 4 where I can't top 100 points. And I'm pulling out a win. This is insanity. It's every game, one player on my team decides, you know what? I'm gonna play hard. I'm gonna give it my all, and the rest are like, all right, man, you got this. Go ahead. And everyone else drops. It's DJ Moore scores 41 points. Everybody else scores 6. This time, Lamar Jackson. I legitimately am looking at the projections after Lamar's game and thinking, I'm going to score 140 points. And I was projected 20 points over Josh. And I'm like, and I knew it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, nope, because the rest of my team's not going to do anything. I just know it. I will say, picked up Jacoby Myers this week. Great pickup.
I thought about him over the year.
Harrison Butker. I don't care what Alex says. I really don't. But that was a good pickup. A solid 8.2.
I don't know if anybody really looked at it because I think Alex is the only one that really commented on it. But I threw out a thing about kickers going into last week and how only 3 kickers in the top 10 of overall points were at that point rostered by our league, and including Sam rocking the 29th ranked kicker for some reason.
Mainly because he doesn't know.
We got 3 worse kickers and 7 available in the top 10, but sure, you keep picking that guy.
Yep.
Also, I think it was a little bit prophetic that Alex commented, interesting that Chuck has the best kicker. Maybe that's why he's in first. And my kicker was just released from the Rams and is now unemployed.
That's pretty crazy.
He was obviously not doing well in the real world, but he was lighting things up in fantasy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I did notice. I was like, I was very surprised that he got released because I'm like, man, you've been really getting a lot of points from him.
Well, the rumor wheel has it that it could be Mason Crosby coming in.
Oh, really?
They worked him out, so
that'd be good.
He was always a steady leg. He just had one bad year. Otherwise, he was a pretty steady leg.
Yeah.
Always. But, I got to say, Dave, anytime you can have a player put up a 0 and pull off the win.
Yeah.
We'll take it. He spoke it into existence. That he did.
Yeah.
It was your highest score in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, it was my highest. Might be turning a corner. Might be turning a corner
next week.
Might get maybe top 100. We'll see.
Whoa, let's not get too bold here.
I think what ultimate helped me is Bijan got sick this week and didn't play. So, there's 15 points right there that just did not happen on Josh's team.
And I do believe they're looking into why you had that airplane ticket to Atlanta in your backpack.
Yeah, with the empty vial of COVID-19.
Yep.
The new variant. Actually, no, it was vomit from a 2-year-old with norovirus that I
Oh,
slipped in his
yes.
coffee.
Yes. Those injury ones are tough. Those injury ones are
Yeah.
tough. And Josh's team has just been up and down. I mean,
well, I mean, again, what we said on the pod last week, what did I say? He lives and dies, like how Todd's team lives and dies by the I'm sending the
Dallas
IRS to your door with guns. I'm assuming that's some joke about the 87,000 IRS agents. Not 100% sure. But just how Todd's team lives and dies by the Cowboys defense, Josh's team is going to live and die by the Miami offense.
Yes.
What happened? The Miami offense didn't do anything. So Raheem Mostert got 5.8 and Jalen Waddle only got 9 points. Now, 9 points isn't bad, but it's not what he's been used to being put up, where Raheem Mostert scores 30 points and Jalen Waddle scores like 20.
Yep.
So,
but even the Tharsis roller coasters, absolutely. Absolutely. Even with him putting up such a low point and losing, he still managed to send a comment whining about how we don't pick him.
That is true. I will say, though, I
did pick last week. I picked Josh.
Yeah. Kenneth Walker didn't really do much for you either. Yeah, he did. He did 12.8, Josh.
But he's been very good lately. I mean, he wasn't going to give you a win more.
He got you 105 rushing yards and 2 receptions. I mean, that's a solid outing for a running back.
It was Kenneth Walker's lowest score since week 1, though. So
you had a really good Cleveland defense. Your kicker did well. Justin Herbert, I don't know why you're really riding on Justin Herbert here. He just doesn't seem like, he's just had a couple of bad weeks. I always thought he hasn't like the greatest like fantasy quarterback. I will say how
bench.
Yeah, that would have helped him out. I mean, Pittman, Taylor, and Cook all being in his lineup this week would have basically buried me.
Oh yes, he would have been biggest blowout material.
Yep. So I will say last week I said how I don't enjoy watching the stats live because I just know my team's going to screw up. And although I was watching Sunday Night Football, knowing that he had Dallas Goedert, Raheem Mostert, and Jalen Waddle, and all they needed was a combined 30 points, I was sweating.
I mean, going into that, I would have assumed they would do it.
Especially when Dallas Goedert, who hasn't really been getting the throws and stuff in his direction, all of a sudden got, 2 touchdowns? No, 1 touchdown.
He had a monster.
And he had like a couple of receptions really early in the game, so it shot his projections up from like originally like 9 points, and then it shot him up to like 15 points, and I'm like sitting there like freaking out. Thankfully, Miami wasn't able to do anything. So
it was a tough game for them. And
and Waddle went out for 2 quarters.
Miami got on tap next week, I guess. We'll find out when we get to that point, I guess.
All right.
How about the big game, though? I know I was not looking at it even on Sunday, seeing it as a game that would maybe come to this, but that Monday night game for the Cloud City Droids really got close to a pretty epic comeback.
Mm-hmm.
One more touchdown. Had Hawkinson or Adamson gotten one more touchdown,
it would have. So, you know how we talk about Josh is the emperor.
The emperor.
I feel like Alex is starting to become the second villain where everyone roots against him because of his strange behaviors in chat and such. And he's becoming Darth Vader. So
maybe I call him Snoke.
Snoke.
Nobody really knows much about Snoke.
So and like when Watson put up a negative 1.8 after he talked about all this, like how we watched on Sunday morning him pick up. He dropped his quarterback for who was it? Baker Mayfield, and then like no less than 2 minutes later drops Baker Mayfield for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
it was quite the, and then Deshaun Watson throws an interception and gets a concussion all in the same play, and like on his second throw of the game, and just like it was almost like justice, like poetic justice of just like he's sitting there overthinking and over tinkering and worrying about the wrong matchup and all this. And finally it's going to bite him in the butt, and finally it's going to hurt him. And all of this is going to be vindicated from my point of view, which is like, you know what? Matchups don't matter, all this crap. And he still ends up pulling out a stupid win.
Yeah. I mean, Watson didn't do it, but gosh, Hill got 21. ATN got 21. Ford got 21. Defense pulled off 11. As Mark Andrews gives him a 19. Like the rest of his team just really, had he had a quarterback performing at a good level there, he would have had, maybe 150.
And I think in my mind this season, the narrative is painted for me. It's clouded. Is the biggest what if of the season. Is it what if my wife would have listened to me, not kept Patrick Mahomes and kept ETN for like, I think it was a really low draft pick. And it's like,
yeah, it would have been better than probably better value than Mahomes.
If she keeps ETN, what does the season look like for her? And what does the season look like for Alex?
She's at least 3-4, I would say.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I would say the way that I kind of want to root against Alex is like a few years ago when suddenly this huge analytics wave came through the NFL, and everybody wanted these GMs that were like 100% analytics charged. And it was like, we're bringing in these guys and they've got the algorithms and they've got it all figured out. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of faded. But at the time it was like, yeah, there was some immediate success.
He's the Mike McCarthy of our league,
up and down. Justin Tucker, he tried chasing the points there. The guy had gotten 19 points the week before after he had been not very good the whole year. And he got 8 is respectable for a kicker. So
yeah,
it's kind of worked out all right for him.
Still rocking the three quarterbacks. I'm extremely curious about that.
3 quarterbacks, and he still drops one and swaps them out.
Yeah, like at least my dad did the right thing and dropped one of his quarterbacks and picked up another running back or wide receiver. I think he picked up a wide receiver. Yeah, he picked up Addison, which pretty much put him in a position to win that game.
Oh, yeah, Addison's a great pickup,
especially with Justin.
And Jefferson really, we really thought this was going to be just a sacrifice week for Todd with all the buys he had to deal with. And to make it a game like that, if he would have pulled off the win,
look at Baltimore's defense. Yeah, like he picks up the defense that pretty much did the best this week.
Yeah. It's just a good week for him. No moral victories, but I guess he can take some good points with him towards the tiebreakers in the future when he needs them, because he is right on the bubble right now.
But this would have also been one of the games that if the 49ers would have played slightly better, just slightly, just to put the pressure on because the last quarter for the Vikings, they were just they were running the ball a lot,
the whole ending there, would he have gotten 6 points worth of receptions and rushes? Probably not. I think he would have.
What if the Vikings were coming from behind? Would they have thrown to Jordan Addison a couple more times, or thrown to Hawkinson?
Both the guys on his team were very hot hands, so it's very likely that them would have been a target.
Yep.
On there, so you never know. You never know.
Lockett didn't do as well for him in the trade, but
Well, that's 1 week.
It is only 1 week.
So. And that's surprising that Lockett didn't without Metcalf around. I would have thought he would have.
Yeah. You would have played a little better, although they only scored they scored 20 points. Surprisingly, only caught 4 catches. Interesting. So, yeah, this is a good game.
It was a good week.
It's fun to watch. All right.
So let's look ahead.
All right. Well, we got a little promo video for rivalry week. So let's watch that, and then we'll look at the rivalries.
Gotta say, I love the nincompoop logo.
The little dunce cap guy.
Also, it struck me that you now found where I found the polecat logo, which is apparently a brand of disc golf frisbees.
Yes,
they're the polecats.
It is.
Yes,
we'll have to get one for you. I think we should just get one for you so you can hang it up back there. I mean,
absolutely.
I think it's.
I didn't even think about trying to buy one, but I absolutely should. I'm sponsored by them, of course. I get all my disc golf needs from Polecat.
Yes.
So yes, we have rivalry week coming up, and we are halfway done with the season.
Yeah.
At this point, 7 games down, 7 games to go, and of course, I think rivalry week's a good way to kick off the second half of the week because we've now all played each other once, and it really comes down to the second time here. So I kind of I wrote down kind of a little bit of a breakdown of each team's season thus far and my predictions of their floor and ceiling for the rest of the season. Now, I know last year I went through and kind of predicted how each one would end up, but I cannot find my notes past week 10 of last year, so I don't remember how I did on those predictions. I would guess not very well. I remember you ridiculing me, saying that I was just giving everyone the same record they got the first half.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is how it ended up working out. No. But here's some thoughts on the outlook, and I'm going down the rankings as they currently stand. So we're going to start with the Doge Destroyers, which had one of the sweeter logos there that you had. So they're currently 5-2, and they've lost to the Jackals and the Polecats. I would say their star players are Hill, ETN, and the Kansas City defense right now. And you can let me know what you think. If you think someone else is more fitting.
Tyreek Hill, definitely. Kansas City defense, I guess I wouldn't have thrown them in there, but I would have said like Tyreek Hill, ETN, and probably Saquon. But Saquon, I guess, didn't play for like half the year so far.
He's not really been a team breaker.
Well, okay, let's just say then Tyreek Hill, ETN, and whoever had the most points the week before that was still on waivers.
Yes, absolutely. So coming up ahead, they've only had one game under 100 points. They actually have the lowest score of any team right now. I think their lowest was only a 96. Wow. And the highest score has been a 131. So not anything blowing anybody out of the water, but never really sinking down into the depths. It's a very even, consistent performing team, which is strange for how frequently he changes out who's on the team.
That's crazy. So crazy.
I guess it's working now, but I do think it's a little bit of a volatile approach and could crumble. It might carry him through the rest of the His roughest week coming up is week 13. He's got a lot of buys. At week 13, that's when he plays the White Latinans. So it could be an opportunity for Jordan to steal a win there. I foresee his floor being only 2 more wins and finishing 7-7. And I could see his ceiling being another 5 wins and finishing 10-4. I don't see him sweeping all the rest of the 7 games. I think it'd be hard for him to even get 6 of the 7 wins going forward. So that's what I have him as a range for. Any thoughts from you on his outlook?
No, it's good. I mean, consistency is going to win a lot of games, and that may be his upside is his consistency. The problem that he's going to run into for the second half of the season is going to be is his overthinking going to cost him eventually. Right now, it hasn't really cost him like too big. Like it seems like he's still able to like overcome his mistakes. But at what point is he going to overthink to a point where it's going to cost him dearly, possibly in the playoffs? He needs to be able to settle and be like, okay, with the players I have, and worry less about the analytics and focus more on you can look at matchups and stuff within your team, but like picking the flavor of the week and point chasing is not going to be, it's going to bite you in the butt many times.
I would say his team is kind of like the Vikings last year, a little bit lucky. If you're going to, if your team's success relies on constantly knowing who you need to pull out and who you need to put in, eventually you're going to miss.
Alex, you going to settle? We'll see. You say that, and then you continue to do it. You picked up Devonta Foreman.
Hey, that guy had a great week 7.
He had a great week 7. No other week, he scored like 0 points for half the season. But, he scored 31 points, so it's going on Alex's team.
Going on the team. Well, I don't know how long Alex has been here, but hopefully he heard my full breakdown of the Doge Destroyers on that. So the second team right now is the Pony Polecats. And second, I would like to say by less than 2 points. Just one wide receiver mistake away from being in first. Also only has one sub 100 game, but a low score of 87 and a high of 128. So similar to the Destroyers, the Polecats have been very consistent this year, almost always scoring in that around 115 to 120 some range. Nothing spectacular, not putting out any 150s, but not putting any lots of low scores too, which kind of surprised me how it's turned out. I'd say the stars for the Polecat, they've lost to the Jackals and to the Fergals. And I'd say the stars for the Polecats right now is Hurts, Kamara, and Kelsey. Kamara I had to wait 4 weeks to be able to use, but he's certainly been a big.
Yeah, Kamara and Kelsey's like your number one. Like he is. I mean, just even in the position he is, you are almost like a 20-point differential between somebody else. Like the average tight end score is like 8 points, 8.5 points, and your guy is like almost consistently getting in the teens, the upper teens. So I mean, you're talking about like double what anybody else can do at that specific position.
He's
a high tier wide receiver in a position where the rest of us can only score like 9.5 points most.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that I won't be able to have him as a keeper next year.
That's okay.
My big week buy is week 10 is where I think I have. I don't remember exactly who it is. I think I have 3 of my big guys on buy. It's when I play the Bulldogs. So that could be a rough week to get through. But otherwise, I've pretty much predicted the same kind of outcome as the Destroyers. I don't see me losing much more than 5 of the 7 games if I like completely collapse. I think that'd be hard to even accomplish. Honestly, I wanted to give myself a floor of 8-7 and a ceiling of 11-3, but I thought that Alex would not like that I gave myself a better projection. I was like, is this just bias? I don't know. But I just feel like I could have a little bit safer floor. But so I went with the same. I put 7-7 as the floor and 10-4 as the ceiling. We'll see. I think it would be hard for me to only win 2, but we'll see.
it'd be pretty tough for you to only. It would have to be like you'd either have to collapse as in your team collapses stat wise, or you would have to your matchups would have to be so lopsided where like whoever you're playing just has the game of their life. An opposite Josh effect.
The opposite. And I guess I am due to have some points against. And Kara certainly helped even out my overall points against trajectory right now. So third place currently, we have the Tharsis Jackals. They're 4-3. They've lost to the Wat Latnins, the Nincompoops, and yours truly, the McRibs. They've got 3 games scoring under 100, though. Their low is 87, but their high is 147. So you don't know what you're going to get, as we've kind of talked about a little bit on that team. I'd say their stars are Cup, the Miami running backs, possibly Walker and Herbert. Of course, when you get IE Kane back, now he has to make that decision again. Do you start both of them? I mean, some games you certainly could.
Yeah.
Or do you not? Do you try to guess which one's going to do it? Had he started both last week, I don't know that IE Kane would have gotten a whole lot more. He could have had 2 lost spots then.
No, I mean,
his whole very high risk, high reward.
Yep. I mean,
kind of thing.
Week 10 is going to be tough for him.
Yeah, week 10 is the big bye week, and that's another one that the White Lightning gets to play. So maybe the White Lightning's record or schedule will help them line up pretty well against the byes here. So I've got the Tharsis Jackals floor as 6-8, but I put the ceiling only at 9-5 for them. I think winning more than 5 of these last games would be pretty tough with how up and down they've been. Honestly, I'd probably lean more towards 8-4 for them right now. We'll see what the Supreme Chancellor says about that. He hasn't chimed in right now, so I'm assuming he's not, because he's sure. Oh, there he goes. My bench will help.
You can't play your bench when they're on your bench. So hopefully.
That feels like something that he should have on a t-shirt. My bench will help. So that's the Tharsis Jackals. My thoughts there. In fourth place, we currently have the North Shore Nincompoops. 4-3. They've lost to the Destroyers, the Polecats, and the McRibs. They have 4 games under 100 and 2 games under 90. Low score of 85, but again, high score of 158, the highest score we've had in the entire league this year. But will that come back? I don't know. He hasn't lost since week 3, which is a pretty solid stat.
Yeah.
But his last 2, he's won only barely scraping the 90s in the score. And had he run pretty much anybody else, he would have lost. So it's kind of hard to predict here. I think his stars are Brown. Honestly, when I was looking at Swift, maybe Allen, I guess, if he chooses to put him in the team. Honestly, Jefferson was his star, and he doesn't have him. I don't know if Jefferson is Jefferson out for the season?
No, I think he's still only on the 4-week. So he's supposed to be back 4 weeks.
All right. So he could be back pretty soon, and that could help turn things around. Josh is saying that the bench will help for week 10, and he's going to run the table. Watch me. Let that be noted.
We'll see.
Run the table begins this week against me. So I guess for Sam, it's hard to say. I put his floor at 6-8, but honestly, I probably could have made it 5-9. I think it'd be hard for any team to only get 1 win over 7 games for the most part. So that's why I put the 6-8. But I put his ceiling pretty low at just 8-6 for him because he's going to have to turn some things around. Perhaps Jefferson comes in and saves the day, but
maybe.
But we will see. So then we've got the White Latnins, 3-4. They've lost to the Bulldogs, the Polecats, the Destroyers, the Ninnies. They've got, I believe he just set his low score because I didn't write that down, but I think his low score is like 87 or 84. Yeah. But he's got a high of 149. So again, another very volatile team here. Hasn't won since week 4. He's certainly going through a hefty slump. His stars, definitely McCaffrey. I put Kittle up and down kind of. I'm not really sure who else you'd pick.
Yeah, he's kind of got a rough team. I mean, Mixon is okay, but he hasn't gone to the when Debo is in, I would say Debo, but
But again, he's got the issue with
he's
so many 49ers offensive guys.
yes.
You got to put him
Yeah,
in.
when he lives and dies by the 49ers offense. Now, Devontae Adams should be a powerhouse on his team, but
Honestly, it feels
he
like Myers has replaced Adams as the top receiver on the Raiders.
well, Devontae Adams just I think is in a slump, and the quarterback situation there is not helping him whatsoever.
Oh, Jimmy G's great.
Jimmy G. Well, Jimmy G hasn't played in like 3 weeks, so
He's so great. He's living a good life right now.
So yeah, I think that's. But I mean, McCaffrey, solid.
Yeah, McCaffrey's always going to give him the points. That is for sure.
Yeah.
His roughest week is week 9 as far as buys. He doesn't have a lot of guys out on week 9 though. None of his remaining weeks are really big ones, so I don't think the buys are going to be a big issue. But the 49ers are out on week 9, I think.
Yeah.
So that will hurt him against the Fergals that week.
But I mean, he's got a wide variety of buys, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I've got his floor at 5 and 9. I put his ceiling at just 7 and 7 though, just because I don't see. I feel like he has too limited of star power, and it's too based on one offense.
Yeah.
So, then we've got the New London Bulldogs, who are currently the last team in the playoffs, 3 and 4. Lost to the Polecats, Jackals, Nincompoops, and Destroyers. They've got a low of 87, a high of 132. So they've actually been pretty consistent score-wise. They just haven't been able to put it together against enough teams. A little bit of bad luck there, I guess. Their stars are definitely, I would say, Jamar Chase, Tony Pollard, and the Dallas defense for sure.
Dallas defense for sure.
Which, I know it's 7 and 7. That's a joke. Oh. Let's see what he says. What do you think your ceiling is?
What do you think your ceiling is, Jordan? This is like your best bet, and you can't say
that'd be 4 wins. That'd be 4 and 3 to finish the year. Would get you to 7 and 7.
He's probably gonna say he's gonna run the table like everybody else thinks they're gonna run the table.
We're all gonna run the table together.
We're all running the table, guys.
We're gonna all tie. You know, that's the biggest sad point of having decimal scoring is that the chance of a tie.
No ties.
9
and 5.
6 and 1 you're gonna go, huh?
Only lose one more game going forward. We'll see.
That's bold. We'll see what happens.
It's bold, Cotton.
The Bulldogs here. It's a big table. There's plenty of table for all of us.
Yeah, right.
He's got the week 13 hit, and that's when he actually plays you. The McRib, so maybe you'll score a lucky hit on that one. For the Bulldogs, I actually have a very narrow range here. I said the floor is 6 and 8, and the ceiling is 7 and 7. Just because they've been pretty consistent, but I think it'd be hard for them to pull off 6 of the wins, 6 more wins,
Yeah,
or something like that. So. Then we get to the 2 teams currently out of the playoffs. We've got McRibbed for her pleasure. 3 and 4, currently tied for a playoff spot. It's just the points for are so low for you that it's unless you start scoring a ton, it's going to come down to record for you, which is an unfortunate disadvantage. Your low score is 78, which is currently the lowest score the league has seen. And your high score is 126. 4 times under 100. You barely snapped a 3-game losing streak here, I think.
Yeah, barely.
Stars. I put Jackson, and then I put Butker.
Butker now? He's my new star? Yeah.
Number 2 guy.
Oh, man. It's crazy. Like, the potential on my team is very frustrating. I mean, if Austin Eckler's not hurt for like
should be your cornerstone
80% of the season so far,
he should be your cornerstone. I had him last year, and he was outstanding. And there's really no reason why he shouldn't be, because I think he's on like a 1-year contract. He should be jonesing for it. But I mean, that's, an unfortunate situation to be in is when you have that. So for your floor, I put you at 4-10.
Rough.
And for your ceiling, I put you at 6-8, 3 wins to finish out the
3
year.
more wins. That's all you think.
It's the harshest prediction I have. I would love to see it change, though.
We'll see. I'm not going to disagree with you because I know my team is very, very unless something happens where all of a sudden these players start playing way better than they are. I just don't see myself scoring a lot of points this year.
Or if you get some more lucky wins.
Which is unfortunate since Tankgate, I pretty much have my team has been basically just sitting below the bottom of the barrel, floating in the bottom of the barrel of our
fantasy
league.
Gods do not look kindly on tanking. They will hold you accountable for it.
They hold me accountable. Either that or Josh is like tweaking my team on purpose. Although I think that, and maybe he did, he let me win this week so that it takes the focus away from his
his mechanisms,
recursive.
They call it natural consequences.
Recursive intelligent computer.
Yes. All right, and in last place currently we've got the Fighting Fergals. They're now 1-6. They've lost to everybody except the Polecats. But they have gathered a lot of steam, of course, over these last 3 weeks. Their low is 86, but that feels kind of like a distant memory at this point. A high of 144. They've got stars in Diggs and St. Brown and Hall, I would say, and they're all starting to kind of act like it.
Mahomes, too.
Yeah, Mahomes now, too. I didn't pick him because he kind of only now has scored one, and we got to see if he continually does it or not. There's not really a bye week that hurts her either. She's pretty evenly distributed.
Mm-hmm. 9. Nine's probably her worst.
Yeah. So I put her floor at 3-11 if she goes back to where she was. And I put her ceiling at 7-7. I don't see her winning out and going to 8-6 because that would be really difficult. But if she plays like this continually, you're gonna get some wins. So that's my thought here. So with all that wrapped up in a bow, my prediction for the buys, the first 2 seeds, are the Polecats and the Jackals.
Really?
I think the Jackals will have a steadier approach that'll allow them to top the Destroyers at the end and take the second seed. Or first, I don't know.
Probably.
What do you think?
They both are point chasers, though. I will say both of those guys are point chasers. Josh gets what he wants, but he does the exact same thing Alex does. He picks up whoever he can who scored the most points for them the previous week, and then usually sits them on their bench for like 2 weeks while they continue to score the points, and then puts them into his lineup once they stop scoring points.
That's probably Josh's biggest thing is he'll pick them up but then stash them while they score big
because he's too scared to actually make the plunge.
He loves them enough to take them, but not enough to play.
I mean, I think that's a fine thing. I mean, it'd be like silly for me to be saying, well, I think the Fergals and the Bulldogs are going to be the number 1 and 2 seed because that's nonsense. But
so then for missing the playoffs, I have 3. 2 of these 3 are going to be it. I couldn't really decide. I have the McRibs.
Of course.
I have the Bulldogs.
I have the McRibs.
And I have the White Lightnings. I think either the Bulldogs or the White Lightnings are going to miss the playoffs.
You don't think Kara's going to miss?
I think she's going to sneak it in. I don't think she's going to need 7 wins. I don't have any team topping 10 wins. So I don't think that the bottom is going to be super high on a win count. I think it's going to be one of those more narrow years from low to high team. Do you think the Fergals will miss?
No, actually I don't, because I think her team is going to start to take off here. Like, you just look at her team and just go, how is she not like up in the upper echelon? It should be me and Jordan sitting on the bottom right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or me and Dad. Like, I don't know how Kara isn't in those upper echelon. She again had some of the worst luck. And if you look, we always talk about the bottom team usually has the most points scored against, and she has the most points scored against by almost 50 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you break that down, she's averaging an extra almost 10 points a game that she has to overcome.
Yeah. I mean, it would be unfortunate if she pulls off 5 wins and then misses the playoffs.
I mean, she's up in the upper she's up in that like top 5 area for points scored for. But I mean, part of that is just like Patrick Mahomes took so long to take off to get even consistent play. Like, he was doing single digits and stuff, and her team is kind of built around him.
Yeah.
So
I will say there's stats here, obviously, that she is the unluckiest team. Her playing against everybody win percentage should be 43%. And her actually win percent is 14%.
Yeah.
So she's got a negative 29 win percentage points there, by far the biggest underachiever of them all. So time will tell how these predictions come out. We'll see if I get egg on my face.
Yeah, we'll see.
But with that, let's take a look at week 7. 8.
Yeah, let's talk about the rivalry. All right. Which one do you want to go? Well, let's do the pick'ems. Let's see what the first one of the pick'ems is. I have me and Kara, so start with that.
All right. Let me just pull that up here. By the way, I didn't realize this, but there's no buys this week. Nobody has any buys. Not sure why exactly the NFL did that, but
no buys?
This week and week 12 are the only ones left with no buys until we get to the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
So week 12 because it's Thanksgiving with that. Also, none of these projections were super tight when I wrote it down. We'll see what happens here. So we've got the Fergals 1-6 versus the McRibs 3-4. When they played each other in week 1, the McRibs barely won 104-100. All time, I think you're counting regular season back there. So if we count playoffs as well, you have 7 wins and Kara has 8.
Oof, that's rough.
So it's very tight. It's very tight. Thoughts I have here. Moss, and maybe you changed this. Okay, you did bench Moss. I had written down, I'm like, you're putting in Moss over Stevenson. You're still keeping Stevenson's on the bench, though. Who'd you put in?
I put in Pierce for now.
I thought Pierce, too. I mean, he's playing the Panthers.
The Panthers are so bad, and I know I give Alex a lot of grief for matchups, but it's like when you look at Carolina and you're like, man, they stink. They have to do well.
And the Texans are doing pretty good, so... Yeah. If he's going to have a good game, it's going to be this one. I also thought for Kara, she's got Hall on the bench right now.
I think she just hasn't updated her lineup.
I'm guessing so. I thought that these projections would change probably. That would only hurt you as far as projections go. Both of these teams need a win to keep that mojo flowing. But the Fergals have outscored the McRibs by 127 over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I don't see I didn't even pick myself on this one. Like, I do not see myself winning this game.
I mean, I've got to pick the Fergals unless they kind of regress into something that they've been. Little side note, if the Pleasures lose, it will have officially been over a calendar year since you have won 2 games in a row.
I mean, it is what it is. It's gonna be rough.
Honestly, I'm glad you pointed that out. I'm gonna start calling this the tank curse.
The tank curse.
The tank.
I mean, it's my curse. This is me trading away. This is me trading away Babe Ruth or the Cubs curse. Like, I'm never going to see the championship
the
ever
Vikings,
again.
because they lost the trophy. Now they'll never win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think we'll go with the Fergals on that one.
Yep. Yeah, I figured.
What do you
All
got?
right, next game is you and the Jackals.
All right.
Polecats versus the Jackals.
So
Josh, there's a
Polecats,
lot of questionable players out there.
Yeah. We got 5-2 versus 4-3. In week 1, the Jackals barely edged out the Polecats 88-87. All time, Josh has 7 wins and I have 6. What did I wrote here? The Polecats have not had back-to-back losses since weeks 8 and 9 of last year.
Wow.
Which coincidentally were the last 2 weeks you had 2 wins in a row. So
that is strange.
There were mirror images there. By the way, I will say I did lose my platinum status this week.
I saw that. So did Josh, though.
Back to gold. I'm back to gold. Josh wasn't platinum.
I thought he was. Maybe he was just gold.
No. The Polecats, I think, look pretty solid on this. The projection's fairly close now. I might do a little tinkering. I've been debating putting Thielen in because he's like the only guy on the Panthers that does anything. But he's not got a great matchup against the Texans. So I'm not sure. But the last 2 times I've had him on the bench, he's just been scoring big.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm debating putting him in maybe over Metcalf. I feel like I got to keep Nakua in, though. I did pick up a new kicker. The guy, we'll see if Hopkins can pick up where Maher fell. I might switch a defense. We'll see. Meanwhile, the Jackals, it's going to come down to Miami, of course. They're playing New England, so they very well could put up some big points.
The big thing that I see that Josh has a problem with is I'm looking. Josh, you've got 3 guys who didn't practice today. Actually, I think Waddle was limited in practice, which is going to be a struggle. I'm surprised that Bijan is on the bench, although he did not practice today either because of an illness.
He's not even marked questionable.
He is not marked questionable because I think they'd assume that he's going to get over it. Josh, if you're not going to use Bijan, you should probably just drop him. I mean, that would be mine. Like,
that'd be great for someone to pick him up and have him as a keeper, pick 14. That would serve you for a few years, I think.
Although as soon as you did that, he'd blow out his ACL.
Oh, of course. So I went ahead and picked the Polecats. I think it's again. The first week was a close game. I think this one's going to be a close game. I think me and Josh tend to have pretty tight games when we play each other.
Yeah.
At least lately. But I'm going to go with me because I can't pick Josh. And I like me.
You can't pick Josh.
Let's see. Is this the week you pick Josh?
No, I picked you. I just do not think that, and this is nothing against Josh. So Josh, don't think that I'm like not picking on you. But Chuck is more consistent than you are. And I just see his team coming out on top and you not. So we'll see.
I do agree with Josh. They're closer but higher scores. I would think that we're both going to be in the possibly even 120s.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like I have to start picking against you, Josh, at this point, if I even want to be close to the pick'ems. You're kind of.
Speaking of the pro pick'ems, I passed Josh this week. He only got 1 right last week.
Nothing against me. That's a bit suspicious, I gotta say. I mean, 8 weeks in a row, Dave. Yep. Josh.
Start picking against me. Yeah.
I have to pick against you in the fact that I have to pick against your picks as much as possible.
Unreal. All right. What's the next one?
The White Lightning versus the Bulldogs.
Let's see what I got here. 3-4 against each other. Week 1, they met. The Bulldogs won 132-120. nobody was particularly close rivalry with Todd because of how bad he used to be. So
Mhm.
Jordan currently has 8 wins to Todd's 4. The Bulldogs weren't set yet when I looked, and I don't know if they still aren't. Yeah, they don't. Chase, Burrow, and Pollard are not in, and the Dallas defense.
Yeah.
So his team is going to change drastically, and I
Yes.
think we'll take over on the projections with that. Um, downsides for Jordan, the 49ers are less predictable right now. Tua is not very predictable. Adams has been in a tough spot. I think this game's going to come down to the 49ers Bengals game, honestly. Is what it's going to
Jaguars
come
week
down
was
to.
not good for me. I mean, you get thrown down a elevator shaft and by Darth Vader. So I mean, usually isn't for the Emperor.
It would be tough to even try to get 1-15 on the pro pick'ems. So kudos.
He got 1 in 15.
Well, I guess there weren't 16 games last week.
He only picked one right game in the pick'ems this week.
Yeah.
Josh, you only picked one. I didn't even check pick'ems, but I'm like, you only picked one game correctly. It's crazy. That's
tough to do.
Almost statistically like improbable.
So I'm ahead of him by 1 win now, I think.
Nice.
I've overcome my deficit of missing a week. Jordan, start doing it again.
Yeah, he's not even doing the fantasy pick'ems.
No. But yeah, I do think this is going to come down to the 49ers Bengals game, which is when? Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Sunday late. So that'll be an interesting one to tune in. Both teams are on a 3-game losing streak. Jordan has only gone 4 losses once in the Yahoo era, and that was back in 2018. The Bulldogs, meanwhile, have done it multiple times, including a 9-game streak from 2020 to 2021. So they're no stranger to the old 4 losses in a row. Sure. It's hard to know picking these two teams. They're very even right now. I just had a feeling and went with the Bulldogs.
Wow. Okay. I went with Jordan. I think his team's a little bit stronger. I think there's more potential, I guess. But it is a toss-up. This is
you got to take into account the Dallas defense is going against a kicker that doesn't know the playbook yet.
Yeah. It's true.
Well, we're still on that one, so we'll see. We'll see where we go. I would not be shocked if I get this one wrong, but I think it's going to be a pretty close matchup, or maybe someone just wildly underperformed. But
all right. Next, the Doge Destroyers versus the North Shore.
So the Destroyers are 5-2. The Nincompoops are 5-3 in week 1. The Destroyers won 107 to 95. Obviously, it's Alex's first year, so all time Alex has 1. Sam has 0. Not much rivalry there. The Destroyers have a balanced team after all that tinkering right now. Can they stop the tinkering? The Nincompoops need some big performances to win, though. They've been hurting lately. He did put Allen in, so he did update, because originally he had Allen on the bench when I was looking still. So I'm glad that he swapped him in.
No Foreman. Alex doesn't trust Foreman enough to put him in. Come on, man. You know he's got another 31.
He's pulling the Josh. Let him marinate for a week.
Yeah, you gotta throw him right in there, man. Like, take out Saquon. I mean, take out ETN. Like, there's no point in even having those guys in there.
He is hurt by Ford being probably out. But Laporte has been a pretty good tight end, though. He could be a possible flex over Flowers, but it'd be tough to say to do that. I'm going to go with the Destroyers just because I can't really trust the Nincompoops right now. The Nincompoops, like, high score lately is like what the Destroyers have only ever scored once on the low end. So I'm going to go with the Destroyers as much as I don't want to.
I picked them too as like a safe bet. I'm surprised. I'm looking at this. Josh picked Sam to win. Interesting choice.
He's been the best picker for the most part.
He has.
How did we do last week, by the way?
So it's pretty. I broke my streak of 0-8 and got three right. Josh also got 3 right. You got 2. You split. So did Kara. Todd only picked 1, and Alex split. So right now, 18. Josh has 18. He's on top. You have 15 in second. Alex has 14 in third, which is super surprising considering how many weeks he missed. Kara in fourth at 10, and then me at 9, and Jordan and Todd. Jordan has the lowest because he hasn't really been playing since like week 2, so he only has 5. And Todd has 7, and obviously Sam has 0 because he doesn't know how to work Excel.
Well, he's trying to use it on the app, I think, and it's just not as good as ESPN's.
That's true.
Yeah, no. One thing out there. As far as underdog wins and favored losses, all 3 of your wins have been underdog wins.
There we go.
And the Nincompoops and the White Lightning have 3 favored losses. Kind of
wow.
Big ones there. And currently, the Fergles have no underdog wins or favored losses. They have gone exactly as predicted by every game.
Wow.
So you can trust what Yahoo says about the Fergles.
Surprising. Well, that means I'm going to lose. Yeah. Or I could win. I could
you're the underdog. Upset. You're the underdog winner, though. So this is a hard place.
I think I'm an underdog winner only because I'm always the underdog, because my team is so bad that Yahoo basically says like he's barely going to score over 100 points, and I haven't really in 3 weeks. So,
well, yeah, I look forward to rivalry week playing out. I guess last year the Polecats beat the Bulldogs, the Fergles beat the Embrace the Sucks, the Suckstops here beat the Nincompoops, and the Hurricane Force Winds beat the McFlurries in rivalry week last year. So.
I was rivals with.
No, last year it was just randomly assigned and nobody. Really
oh yeah, that's right. It was randomly assigned.
We were just like, all right, it's rivalry week.
Yeah,
I think it normally pops it on week 10, and we had Josh move it to week 8.
Yeah,
one of the few good decisions the commissioners made.
It's true.
Yeah,
bravo.
All right. Well, any last words?
I got nothing. I'm just excited for this week. Star Wars week was a huge hit. Thanks for everybody for doing good stuff. Yeah, we told you you picked 3 correct last week, Josh. I know. Yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed the podcast immensely, doing the pod immensely. These themed weeks, I mean, we'll have to figure out when throwback week is. Yeah. But guys, I'll throw up the list of throwbacks eventually, and then we can start churning out doing throwback stuff. Maybe we'll film it in black and white.
Oh, you got 3 in the pro pick'ems, I guess. My bad.
3 in the pro pick'ems, but it was a rough week either way.
I will say, maybe read things that go on Discord, because I feel like lately I keep throwing out things that we talked about way back in August that nobody talked about when I threw them out there. And now people are like, when did we do that? It's like, well, this is why we have the Discord, to have these discussions. So,
yeah.
But otherwise, good luck to everybody. And hopefully we have another week without any major injuries.
Yeah, let's hope. All right. Thanks for tuning in for those who did. All right. See you guys.
Bye-bye.